Flagstaff home. I've had this shirt on. It's from my videos. I'm filming several videos in one day. Sorry about that. But anyway, oh, do we have a kitty? No. Okay, today I'm here to talk about ripening up green tomatoes. If you live in a place with a short growing season, you may find that at the end of the season, you've got a bunch of green tomatoes on the vine and you're ready to head into a freeze at night. And so you cannot leave tomatoes out on the vine and have the temperatures go down below freezing because they just won't survive. It changes the texture of the tomato. They may look like they're okay, but they're not. So because I live in a place with a super short growing season, 103 days, we have 50% chance of frost in the middle of June, up to the middle of June, and a 50% chance of frost middle of September. From what I can tell on weather.com, it looks like we may get a few more weeks without freezing temperatures. So that means that more of my tomatoes are gonna, well, some of them will ripen up, but what I'm really hoping for right now is that I have a lot of tomatoes out there on the vine that are small, and I'm wanting them to get bigger, big enough that I can take them off and that they'll ripen. So let me tell you, if you have tomatoes, if you take a look at them, some of them, the smaller ones, will be green and dull. They won't have any kind of shine. Those will never ripen up. So what I want is all those ones that are smaller and dull looking out there, I want those suckers to get shiny so they have a chance of ripening. If you have your tomatoes out there and they're just as green as can be, but they're shiny, they will ripen up. So you might be thinking, well, just put them in a window. I mean, that's how you ripen a tomato, right? It's kind of fake ripening. When you put a tomato in the window, it will turn red, but it doesn't actually have its flavor developed as much, so it won't taste as good as the tomato that ripens on the vine. Now, there's no way of ripening up a tomato inside that's going to taste as good as a tomato that ripens on the vine. But, you know, in my case, I have to get those things off of there or they're going to be no good. And where I live, it's just too chilly for them to all ripen that way. So what I start doing around this time, what's today's date? September 16th. And the last day of our growing season is, I think, September 22nd. 23rd, something like that. And so what I'm trying to do is get the biggest tomatoes off the vine right now and get them off of there so the littler ones will grow bigger, so I'll have more of a harvest. Well, a few years ago, I heard about this way of ripening up your tomatoes. It's so great. And what you do is you just put your tomatoes on a rack, either a rack or you can even take a window screen. The key is that you want it to be elevated off the ground. You want cool air to be able to flow around it. So you also don't want this to be in your house where it's warm. So a garage is a great place if your garage is cool. And so I pull my tomatoes off the vine. It's great if you can put a little bit of the stem. On what I'm going to show you here today in this video, don't have stems because I was removing tomatoes where there were other smaller ones around it. So if I took the stem, the little ones wouldn't have something to grow on. So I didn't do that. But at the end of the season, like right before I know that it's supposed to freeze tonight, then I start taking off tomatoes with stems. You just put them on either a rack or a window screen that's elevated on, you know, between two boxes, anything where the airflow will be around it. And then I go out every day and check to see if any of the tomatoes have ripened up. And we'll be eating fresh tomatoes that are ripening up into the beginning of November. So I start going out there and taking them and start doing things to preserve them. You may have seen the video that I put up about making sun-dried tomatoes in your oven. Also, when I have enough of my tomatoes that I'm going to use for canning, and those have ripened up, then it's canning day. And but it's just a great way to ripen things up when you have a growing season that is short. Now, fried green tomatoes are great, but I don't want to eat those every single night. I mean, I have hundreds of tomatoes outside on the vine, but and I will use some of them for fried green tomatoes, but not all of them. So Anyway, let me go ahead and take you out into my garage so you can see what I'm doing there. All right, so these are just a few of the tomatoes that I have been picking. This is my rack. We store other things on this rack, but when I'm gonna get ready to take all the tomatoes off, we'll have to clear that off or use a window screen. But yeah, these are some. I have a few down here as well. You can see that some of them are ripening up. When I put those on the rack 2 days ago, they were not ripe, and they're, you know, I just come out every day and start to notice that they are ripening up. This is a black crim tomato that's ripening up nicely out here. It's still pretty green though. So that's essentially what I do, and then we just keep coming out here for the next couple of months and harvesting our tomatoes, eating some of them in our meals and storing others. So that's just a small number of tomatoes that I've taken off the vine because we still have a few more weeks. There will come a point when I will strip every last tomato off the vine, every one that's shiny, and I will take them all off the vine in a mad dash because I know that we're gonna get a freeze that night, and then I'll have lots of them in my garage. So some of them will be on the rack you saw. I'll be clearing off some things on the upper part of the rack where we have some things stored. Some of them will be on window screens, and yeah, that's just kind of what I do. So right now I'm just doing it little by little. Also, before I end this video, let me take you outside so I can show you the difference between a tomato that will ripen and one that won't. Let me give you a look at a couple of tomatoes. These, if I were to pick both of these, they would ripen up just fine. Because they're nice and shiny. They're green as can be, but they're shiny, and so they would ripen up really well. On the other hand, let's look at this one right here. This one, this one right here is starting to get a little bit of a shine on it, but for the most part, it's pretty dull. And if I come over here, these right here are really not shiny at all. In fact, they almost feel a little rough on the outside, and I'm trying to see if we can compare these without breaking them off. So let me show you the difference here. This one, you can see the sheen on it, this larger one, and this one there's no sheen on it. The sun is not, you know, shining off of it. So this one will ripen up. If I were to pick this one, it wouldn't. So my whole point right now is trying to make sure that these smaller tomatoes are going to get a little bigger, and that these ones that are not shiny will get bigger and shine up for me so I can pick them and have them ripen. So there you go. You want to make sure that you get those shiny tomatoes. The other ones, you know, unfortunately, you're just going to have to trash them if you're getting ready to have a freeze, because I don't know of any way that you can use those tomatoes at that point. I think they'd probably be like sour or bitter or something. I don't know. I've never tried it, but never heard it recommended either. So hopefully this was helpful for you. And if you have a special way of ripening up your tomatoes that makes them taste really great, love to hear about that. Comment in the space below. If you're not currently subscribed to my channel, just hit that button right there. YouTube will let you know when I upload new videos. And I hope you will join me in the future on my Flagstaff home. Bye-bye.